Okay, this is day 13 of the distance learning math packet. All right, so we have a table that shows us the properties of exponents. Again, something we've already covered, so it should be review. And again, you can pause this, come back to it if we need it later on. Okay, so let's take a look at the task. It says we have a square piece of carpet, and there's a drawing of it. One side is labeled as 2x squared, so that's the length of one side, and he wants to put them together to carpet a part of his basement. And it says, again, we have 4 of these, so there are of this whole piece here, so there's 4 of those. So we want to use them, put them together, and we want to know how much area that he can cover. So it doesn't say how we're putting them together, but it doesn't matter because it's just talking about area. So basically we need to figure out the area of 1, and then we can multiply that by 4. Or we can add 4 of these together and get the area like that. So I'm going to multiply, but first let's find the area of one of those squares. So remember, the area of a square is the side squared, or if we want to think of it as the side times the side. Okay, so that's what we need to do first, and then we just multiply that by 4. So the area is side 2x squared times 2x squared. Okay, I'm going to multiply the numbers, so 2 times 2, so that's 4. And then x, the variable, so going back to our rules of exponents, when we multiply, let's see, multiply, so product of powers, we add the exponent. So let's go back to this. So we have a 2 and a 2, we add those together, we get 4. So that's the area of one square, and we have 4 of those. So the total area is going to be 4 times what we just did. So I'm just going to call that area and then TOT for total. So that's 4 times 4x to the 4th power. Okay, again, you could write it as repeated addition, but I'm going to use multiplication. And then for this, there's no exponents, there's no x's outside of the parentheses, it's just a number, so we're going to multiply those two numbers, we get 16, and then x to the 4th power. So once we know what x is, then we can actually say how many square feet or square inches or square yards or whatever the units are, square meters, that he's going to be able to cover. So for now, all we have is 16x to the 4th. Okay, the next part, I'm not going to do every single problem, but this is all the same. This is product of powers, and then the example is here. So remember what we do, we add the exponents. So I'm going to write this out. This is the example. So 3 squared times 3 to the 4th. And for product, for multiplying powers, we add the exponent of both of those numbers. So it's the same base. It has to be the same base. So the base is 3. So we add the exponents, 2 plus 4. That's 6. So 3 to the 6th power. All right, so let's just choose a couple to do. We're not using a calculator here. We're not figuring out these really large numbers. We're just simplifying. So the first one, base is 12. We add the exponent. We have 8 plus 3, which is 11. So 12 to the 11th power. Number 7, base is 10. We add the exponent. 7 plus 2, that's 9. So it'll be 10 to the 9th power. And that's it. Same thing all the way down. Again, this is review. We've done it. So I'm going to let you do the rest. All right, so the last piece is, looks like practice of fractions, addition, subtraction. Just to clarify a couple things, this last piece is 7.5. So it's a mixed fraction. And we just need to combine all this together. So let me rewrite it. So 3/4, I'm going to write it as a stacked fraction. And then minus 5 plus 7 1/2. 7 1/2. So we need to combine all those numbers together. We have fractions, we have mixed numbers, and we have integers. So we need to rewrite all these as the same type of number. So we have a couple of options. We can use decimals, and for these fractions, that would work really well. Okay, so that would look like 0.75 minus 5 plus 7.5. And then, this kind of makes me want to use a calculator, so let's do that. So 0.75 minus 5 plus 7.5. Okay, so we get 3.25. So that equals 3.25. Okay, so that's one way to do it. So let's see if we can do it without using a calculator and using just those numbers and rewriting them as the same type of number. So we're going to have to use fractions. So that would be 3 over 4. And then we need to write 5 as a fraction with a 4 in the denominator. We need common denominators in order to combine fractions. So that would be, if I think of 5 over 1 as the fraction, I want to multiply numerator and denominator by 4, so that would be 20 over 4. And then 7 and 1/2. Okay, so first of all, that's 15 halves as a fraction. So it's a mixed number, so remember, multiply the denominator times the whole number, and then add the numerator. Okay, so that's one way to think of it. So 15 halves. But we want a 4 in the denominator. So how do we get there? We multiply by 2, so multiply the numerator by 2, so that's 30 over 4. So plus 30 over 4. Okay, and then we need to now combine all those numerators. So just adding straight across, or from left to right. So we have 3 minus 20 plus 30. So 3 minus 20 is negative 17, plus 30 is 13. So we get 13 fourths. 13 fourths. Is that the same as 3.25? So how do we convert a fraction into a decimal? We just divide. So 13 divided by 4. So back to our calculator, 13 divided by 4 is 3.25. So we get the same answer using both methods. Again, it says use any strategy to solve. So whichever one makes the most sense to you. I would hope that we can do both methods, because sometimes we have calculators, sometimes we don't. You should be able to solve that both ways. Okay, so that's it for this day.